Welcome back to Introduction to Law Swift course. We've gotten to explain legal subjects on the last video. Now we move on to legal objects and subjective rights. Legal objects are things with value in which legal subjects can acquire rights. In other words, when a legal subject has a right to a legal object, there is a legally protected relationship between the subject and the object to the extent of the entitlement. Legal objects can be divided into 5 different categories. Corporeal things. These are things, concrete and tangible objects such as a motor car, money, cattle, furniture, a house, etc. Things are divided into 2 categories, namely movable things and immovable things. Ownership of movable things are transferred by delivering the thing, while ownership of immovable things are transferred by registration in the deeds office in the name of the new owner. Performances. In legal terms, performance refers to fulfilling obligations or duties as outlined in a contract or legal agreement. It can involve giving something, taking a specific action, or refraining from doing something. Essentially, performance in law means carrying out the terms and commitments specified in a legal agreement. Intellectual immaterial property. The term intellectual property refers to the creations of the human mind. These are objects of intelligence such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, symbols, names, and images used in commerce. Aspects of personality. A legal subject's reputation or good name, dignity, honor or self-worth, and physical integrity are all aspects of that legal subject's personality. Personal immaterial property. According to Nithling, there is a 5th category of legal objects that pertain to a legal subject's ability to earn or to be credit-worthy. Subjective rights. To understand subjective rights, we have to look at its twofold relationship. A subjective right involves 2 things. First, it is a legal claim that allows a subject to have certain powers over something, a legal object. This is the connection between the subject and the legal object. This is called the subject-to-object relationship. Second, it creates a relationship between the subject and third parties. Third parties are legally required to recognize and respect the subject's claim to that legal object. This is called the subject-to-third-party relationship. Patrimonial and non-patrimonial rights. All subjective rights can be identified as either patrimonial or non-patrimonial rights. Patrimonial rights are those rights which have legal objects with a determinable monetary or material value. Non-patrimonial rights are those rights with legal objects that are of sentimental value only. Absolute and relative rights. To determine whether subjective rights apply absolutely or relatively, regard must be had to a difference in operation of rights. Absolute rights are rights that exist independently and are typically vested in an individual. These rights are usually considered fundamental and inherent to a person, often regardless of the context or relationships. Examples of absolute rights include the right to life, liberty, and property. Relative rights, on the other hand, are rights that exist in relation to others. They are rights from specific relationships between individuals or entities. The existence or exercise of relative rights depends on the presence of certain conditions of fulfillment of obligations. Examples of relative rights include contractual rights, such as the right to receive payment under a contract, which arise from specific agreements between parties. In summary, absolute rights are fundamental rights that exist independently, while relative rights depend on specific relationships or agreements between parties. Types of subjective rights. A real right. It refers to a legal right that is directly attached to a specific property or asset. It grants the holder certain powers and privileges over the property itself, rather than establishing a personal obligation between individuals. Real rights are typically associated with ownership or possession of tangible assets like land, buildings, or other real property. Personal rights. Personal rights refer to legal entitlements and protections that are linked inherently to individuals. These rights are often grounded in principles of human dignity, freedom, and individual well-being. Unlike real rights, which are tied to a specific property, personal rights are about safeguarding the interest and autonomy of individuals in various aspects of life. Examples of these are like civil rights, family rights, right to privacy, etc. Intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights are legal protections granted to the creators and owners of intellectual property, which includes inventions, creative works, and innovations. These rights provide a framework to encourage innovation and creativity by granting exclusive rights to the creators for a specified period. Examples of these are copyrights, patents, trademarks, etc. Personality rights. Personality rights, also known as the right of publicity or image rights, refer to the legal rights that individuals have to control the commercial use of their name, image, likeness, or other aspects of their identity. These rights are designed to protect an individual's personal and commercial interest in their persona. Personal immaterial property rights. Personal immaterial property rights entail the duty to refrain from conduct that infringes upon or neglects a legal subject's personal immaterial property, such as the ability to earn. Human rights. Human rights come from the idea that every person possesses inherent dignity simply by being human. This dignity should not be violated, and everyone is responsible for respecting, protecting, and promoting it. In public law, human rights serve to shield individuals from excessive government power. To safeguard the fundamental rights of citizens, many countries, including South Africa, have a Bill of Rights in their constitution. This means that everyone in South Africa, including the government, must uphold human rights in accordance with constitutional values like human dignity, equality, and freedom.